Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session number 4. And today, and during this session, I'm going to take you through postgraduate education in the UK, different options that you have to study postgraduate. This session is particularly good if you are planning to apply for postgraduate this year or next year. But even if you are applying for undergraduate now and you would like to know about your options in the future, there are some very good information for you as well. During the second part, after the break, I'm going to take you through the application process for Sanctuary Scholarship, specifically writing your, because the main part of Sanctuary Scholarship application is writing a personal statement. The first part is having a university offer, and then the second part is about writing the application statement. And then today, during the second part of the workshop, I'm going to take you through how to write that personal statement, which is to a great extent different from the UCAS or university statement. Also, during the second part and before the end of today's session, I'm going to give you a list of organizations across the UK that you can just connect with them online, or if you live in their area, just go to their places and then they can help you with your education and employment needs beyond Olive. Before we start, I'm going just to remind you of these 3 P's of success, because some of you, I understand some of you didn't come to the undergraduate sessions because you have your undergraduate degree, so probably it's your second session coming to this program. So during the past few weeks, I suggested everyone to follow these 3 P's of success. Be patient because things take time, especially good things. Second one is to have plan. So without plan, everything is just a wish, okay? It's a wish to go to university, but the moment that you start planning for that and putting things on paper and making connections, sending emails, making inquiries, coming to Olive, that's become a plan. And then having plans and being patient, the third thing that you need to have is persistence and perseverance. So you need to continue with your plans over time because it takes time. Language learning takes time. Application process takes time. Writing a good personal statement takes time. So you need to be persistent and continue doing things and learning and improving. And once having all of these, you need to take action. Okay, so without writing the application and submitting the application, nothing is going to happen. Have your plans, be persistent, but act, apply, go to that session, go to that workshop, write that personal statement, and you will be there sooner or later. Okay, just as a quick recap, during the first 3 weeks, I covered undergraduate options that you have in the higher education system here in the UK. So we started from, we covered this area. So we started from GCSEs, high school diplomas, and I told you that the education system here in the UK is a level-based system, starting from level 1 to level 8. And it's very good for you if continue thinking of the higher education as those levels and understand, hopefully by now, most of you, you know where you are on those levels. When you understood where you are, then it would be easier to plan to go further. So everything starts from for going to university starts from having GCSEs or high school diplomas, which is a level 2 qualification. Most of you have your high school diplomas from your countries. It doesn't matter where, as long as you have a high school diploma, that's a level 2 qualification, okay? Here in the UK, after level 2, after GCSE, students, they do level 3 before going to university, which is A levels. In some countries that we come from, there is similar qualification, or there are similar qualifications, level 3, like pre-university courses. If you don't have that, you can, just going back to the previous sessions, slides and videos, you have other options such as doing access courses or doing foundation degrees. And then with level 3, you are good to start your university, which is the beginning of university is usually level 4, and it takes you usually 3 years, or if you're doing foundation, it takes you 4 years to finish your undergraduate study and having your bachelor degree. Also, if you remember, told you that you need language qualification as well, okay? And language qualification, again, it's a level-based system that you need to have those levels based on the entry requirement. So usually to undergraduate, you need level 2, which is IELTS 6. But for postgraduate, as we covered today, it's 6.5 for most of the universities. The reason that I repeat these, because it's important to have this recap, as one of the students asked, and some of the students, they don't have time to come to all the sessions. So usually when you go to university or when you go to a school, usually the beginning of each session is just a quick recap, just for people to be on the same page when we start the new session. That's why we keep continuing in repeating things for people to remember what we have talked about. Okay, so today I'm going to cover this area, okay? Master's degrees and PhD degrees, which is postgraduate study here in the UK. The first question is why you should do a master's, okay? There are different reasons. If you remember going to previous slides, if you remember, I gave you some questions to think about when deciding to do an undergraduate. For postgraduate, the criteria, those questions could be different. So you need to ask yourself different questions about why I need or I have to study a postgraduate degree, MSc or PhD. So postgraduate degrees are very much employability and sector specific. So these courses, these postgraduate courses usually help you to improve your employability prospects. Okay, so the first question that you need to ask yourself is how doing this course is going to help me in finding a job and improving my employability. So usually for undergraduate, students are not very certain, students are not very determined about what they want to do in the future. They have a more kind of broad area of options. They are thinking about whether to do this or do that, and they are not certain. But for postgraduate, you already have an undergraduate, you have some ideas, or probably you have some work experience, and you have some ideas about what you want to do in the future and what kind of job you want to have in your career. So doing a postgraduate, doing an MSc, it helps you to improve your employment prospects. Also, many of the job opportunities, they require some sort of qualification. So some jobs, they may need a GCSE level, some jobs may need undergraduate level, some jobs, they need you to have postgraduate qualification relevant to those jobs. So sometimes you want to apply for instance, a nursing job, and for that nursing job, which is like a senior role, they need you to have a postgraduate qualification. So you do postgraduate to meet those requirements. The third one is progressing in your career path. Okay, so now you have some kind of entry-level job and you would like to improve in the job to a more senior, to a managerial level in the next 5, 6, 10 years. So you do postgraduate to improve your career path in whatever career path you are. For instance, you are a banker, you work in a bank, and you would like to become a senior data analyst in your sector. So you need to do a postgraduate course in for instance, data analytics in order to improve in your job prospect. The next one is entering a particular profession. And for many of you, because you are new to this country, you are thinking of changing the career. So probably you were an accountant in your country and you planning to start a job as a solicitor or as a project manager. So sometimes in changing those careers, moving from one sector to another sector, you doing a postgraduate course, doing an MSc course, it can help. So for me, when I came to the UK, I changed my career path and I did an MSc, which was totally different than my undergraduate degree. And I used that MSc to start a new career path. So sometimes starting again, doing instead of going back and starting from scratch and doing a bachelor, it's easier and less time taking to do a postgraduate, a master's course. Okay, and some of you may have plans to continue your education. So you would like to do like further postgraduate courses like a PhD. And to do that, most of the time, you need an MSc. So between bachelor and PhD, you need to have this level 7 qualification, which is MSc, to be qualified for doing a PhD. However, some universities here in the UK, you can start PhD with a undergraduate with a bachelor, but most of the time an MSc can help you. So these are the main points of doing an MSc course here in the UK. So again, it's very, as you can see, everything here relates to career, relates to job and employability. So if you don't know what kind of job, what kind of future career you would like, don't do MSc. You are going to waste your time. Before starting MSc, you need to already make up your mind about what are the jobs that you are going to apply for with that MSc. Should you do an MSc? I think yes. In most career, in most jobs, the evidence currently in the UK shows that although it doesn't guarantee any employment, okay, it's not 100% guaranteed that you with an MSc you're going to have a job, but currently in the UK, postgraduates, they have higher employment rates, higher jobs and higher income, okay, compared to undergraduates or non-graduates. So most of the time, if you know what kind of job do you want, and if you do relevant MSCs, that will help you that increase your employment rate or chance, it will improve the level of jobs that you have. Also, it can improve your income or salary as well. Any question before I move to the next slide about why should you do a master's or why not? Okay, so let's move on. Again, taking you back to the undergraduate, whilst you're asking these questions from yourself, for postgraduate, you need to have a look uh, and think about these questions as well, these undergraduate questions about time, about commitments, about money, about location, about length of course. Okay, so have all these in mind, all these questions that you need to ask yourself, and answer those questions for yourself before applying for undergrad. So you need to have all of them in mind, but beyond that, when you're applying for a postgraduate, you need to specifically focus on jobs. And the main question is how this MSc in business is going to help me to find the job that I want. So for instance, if you are thinking of becoming a project manager, MSc in business is helpful, but MSc in pharmacy, it doesn't help you that much. So don't do any MSc that you can. It should be very job specific. Yes, Elmi.
Yes, teacher. Just I want to ask you one question. I have example bachelor's from Arab country.
Mm-hmm,
So if I want to continue my learning or education,
mm-hmm.
uh, I want to know. So I have to go back to school and learn, or can I start straight away?
Very good question, which I'm going to answer in the next slide. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
good. So these are the reasons that you should do or shouldn't do a postgraduate course here in the UK.
Yeah.
So you need to generally think about whether you like it or not. So the first question is, do you like it or not? If not, don't do it, because it's very difficult to be successful in something that you don't like it. So doing an MSc, you need to consider everything in the context of your overall career plan. Again, as I said, if you are thinking of a future in banking industry, okay, your MSc, your postgraduate needs to be focused on banking, and what kind of degrees, what kind of qualifications, what kind of skills are required to enter and improve in the banking sector. Okay, that's totally
Yeah.
different with teaching, that's totally different with healthcare, that's totally different with academia. I come back to you, Makbula, in a second, and then what employers value most. Okay, so you need to think about employers. In some jobs, some industry certification and some skilled based learning and trainings are more valuable and important than university qualifications. So for instance, if you would like to become a data scientist, okay, or market analytic, so sometimes it's better to show um, professional qualifications like Microsoft degrees, like coding degrees, like programming degrees, than university degrees, okay? Because those are more valuable in those sectors than just doing a data science course for a year in a university. So always think about what is more valuable for employer, okay? Not every employer appreciate and value university qualification. The next part is you need to think about, okay, this is the kind of job. Having a master's is going to improve your chance of having that job or not. Because for some jobs, you can start with bachelor. You don't need to spend money and time doing a master's. So think about, is it necessary? And it's always good to go to the job application requirement, to that job requirement, to the entry requirement for that job, and see if it's necessary to have an MSc. If not, probably you can start working instead of going to university for one more year. And one place to have good information is just contacting, if you're in a university, just contacting career service. If you're on if you're linked to job center, you can speak with your job coach, or you can directly contact employers talking about, okay, I have a qualification from Egypt, I have this work experience, is it possible to have a job with these qualifications in your industry, or do I need to do a postgraduate, or is it necessary to do a postgraduate? So always make that communication with different people to understand whether you need a postgraduate or not. To be honest, most of the UK students, they don't choose a postgraduate, okay? So I teach postgraduate in university. 90% of my students are international. UK universities, they are not very interested or very keen in doing postgrad, because for most of the jobs here in the UK, you can start working with undergraduate, okay? So always think about, do you need it or not? Okay, Magula.
Uh, I think you already answered my question, but I will ask you again.
Good.
My question is, how do you know if postgraduate or MS qualification is a value to your future career?
Okay, so in the future session, so from next week that we start talking about employment, I show you how to understand what employers want from you, okay? But generally speaking, so if you're interested, so what kind of jobs you are thinking of, Magula, in future?
In future, for example, I'm biomedical science. I may working at like a library, like like lab or health sector stuff, or in hospital. Yeah, that's kind of stuff in future.
Yeah. So the easiest way is just going online to one of the job search, apply for in the 2-3 years, okay? And then just go through the entry requirement, okay? Most of the time, they say what level of qualification you need to have. If it says level 4, level 3, level 2, it means you don't need to do an MSc. But sometimes it's part of the condition of the job that you need to have university level undergraduate or postgraduate qualification. So the best way of finding that is just going to job search websites, finding similar jobs, and looking at the entry requirements for that job. We covered this later during the employment sessions as well. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Okay.
Good. So, however, with all the criteria that I mentioned, most of the time, especially if you are in your 20s, 30s, I suggest, and if you have access to a student finance, and if you have time, I suggest most of the students from refugee background to go to university for postgrad or undergrad, okay? So because it's not just about having those degrees. So for undergrad, for postgrad, being in university for 1 year, it helps you to improve your English. You make so many connections.
Exactly.
Universities can connect you with industries as well. You find some friends, you connect with some teachers. There are so many different courses and like workshops, trainings available in university for writing, for reading, for everything that you can go to for free because you're a student in that universities. So doing an MSc course in university, especially for people from refugee backgrounds, is not just about having that qualification. It's about 1 year of support that you can improve yourself in different areas of your in your life, not just your career. So for you and for us, so that was my intention of going to university for MSc when I did it. So I wanted to just make connections, just find out more about how the system works here in the UK, and using other opportunities available in university beyond just going to lectures and having a degree or qualification. And these are the things that you need to have in mind. So let's move forward. Okay, so now you are decided and you know that MSc or postgraduate is good for you and you want to study. What options do you have? So generally speaking, In the UK, we have two types of postgraduate qualifications. Level 7, which is MSc or MA, Master of Science or Master of Art, and level 8, which is PhD. Okay. So for level 7, MSc or MA, you have two different systems in universities. So for some courses, when you go to university webpage, it says postgraduate taught or PGT. For some courses, it says postgraduate research or PGR. Okay, both of them, you are going to have an MSc degree, but these are different in the sense that for PGT, for postgraduate taught, is like a normal university course. Okay, you have to some courses, to some lessons, classes, modules. You have exams at the end, and then finally you write a dissertation and you get your postgraduate taught or MSc or MA. MSc and MA, these are to a great extent similar. In some disciplines, they call them MA, Master of Art. In some disciplines, they call it MSc, Master of Science. It depends on your subject, okay? But in terms of the value, they are same. Both of them are postgraduate master degrees. So postgraduate taught is normal university course, as you know. Classes, lectures, lessons, exams, dissertation, graduation. Postgraduate research, most of the courses are postgraduate taught, but some courses are postgraduate research. And postgraduate research, you don't have any class, you don't have any lesson, you don't have any module or lecture. You just write a research, okay, a research project under academic supervision. And then you will have your postgraduate research, or sometimes they call it MRes, Masters with Research. Usually it takes 1 year full-time, both of them, postgraduate taught or postgraduate research, 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time. If you're thinking of finding a job, most of the time postgraduate taught, the first one, option 1, postgraduate taught is is the best choice for you. If you are thinking of continuing your education post MSc and doing a PhD, probably postgraduate research is a better option because it shows your research skills, okay? So if you are thinking of finding a job, don't do postgraduate research. It's not that helpful because you need to have some kind of sector specific, industry specific skills for that job. So probably, in most cases, postgraduate taught is the best option. So just have it in mind when you're looking for courses, the difference between PGT and PGR is the way that they deliver that program. I added a link here, and in that link, you can find most of the PG courses, postgraduate master or MSc or MA courses on UCAS, okay? And from there, you can find more information about each course and entry requirements for each of them. However, I'm going to explain more about the application process in the next slide. When it comes to application, unlike undergraduate, where you have to apply through UCAS, for postgraduate, in most cases, you apply directly to the university. Okay, that's the main difference between undergraduate and postgraduate. So in undergraduate, you apply through UCAS. You have one application for 5 places. In postgraduate, you apply directly to the university and you apply to as many as you want. You can apply to 100 universities, but you need one application per university. So if you are going to apply to 100, you need 100 applications. And these are the entry requirements. Okay, and here I'm going to answer Elmi's question as well. So for postgraduate, these are the general entry requirements. If you are planning to do MSc or MA here in the UK. So first of all, you need an undergraduate degree, okay? It doesn't matter where you have that undergraduate degree from. Most of universities in the UK, they accept undergraduate degrees from most of the countries in the world. So I don't know any country that refugees come from and UK universities do not accept their degrees. Okay, so
Teacher, how about Egypt, teacher?
As I said, every university. So Egypt, there are thousands of students from Egypt studying here, postgrad. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you have your undergraduate degree from, as long as you have a bachelor degree, as long as you spent 3 or 4 years in a university and you have a degree which says bachelor or equivalent, because in some countries you have 2 years university degrees like diplomas or technician qualification. Those are not bachelor. So you need to spend 3 or 4 years in a university to have a bachelor, and your qualification, it should mention that it's bachelor equivalent. But country is not that important. Most universities accept undergraduate degrees from most countries. However, what is important is your average grade. So you need to have at least equivalent to UK lower class or UK second class honors degree 2-2. Okay, so if in your country is based off percentage, so you need to have 60% and above. If you have 40%, 50% or 40% or 55, it reduces your chance of having an offer significantly. Okay, so if you have a qualification, a bachelor degree from Egypt, that's good, but you need to have at least 60% overall grade, that average grade needed to apply for that course here in the UK. Most of the time, it doesn't matter if your undergraduate is not relevant to your postgraduate. So you can have an undergraduate qualification in geography, and you can apply for a postgraduate qualification in management. Okay, so in the UK, there is not sort of a strict criteria that your undergraduate and postgraduate needs to be similar and relevant. You can apply for totally different postgraduate course than your undergraduate. However, for some courses, they need to be relevant. So for instance, if you are applying for a course in postgraduate course in nursing, okay, or in pharmacy, it's very difficult to do it without having an undergraduate, because you need to have that basic skills and basic knowledge of nursing or pharmacy or architecture. Okay, when it comes to very specialized courses and degrees, those need to be relevant. So if you have undergraduate in I'm not sure, management, it's very difficult to do a postgraduate in mechanical engineering, because you have no knowledge of engineering basically. So it's very difficult to have an offer from universities for those. But most of them, especially in social science and in humanities, you can choose a postgraduate which is not directly linked to your undergraduate. The second part is work experience. It's not necessary, okay? However, having work experience and showing that work experience in your CV and your statement, it can improve your chance of being shortlisted for an offer. Because universities, they have some like capacity for the number of postgraduate students that they have, some kind of cap for international students who come to do a postgrad, and cap for home students as well. So when they are going to shortlist, when they are going to select who they want to give offer to, having and showing that you have relevant work experience to the MSc that you are planning to do can increase your chance of being shortlisted and having that offer. The third option, or the third criteria, is to have your language requirement. Okay, language requirement usually is 6.5. Some universities, few universities, they may accept 6, but most of them, they want 6.5. Some top-rate universities, they even may require 7. For undergraduate, if you remember, I mentioned that you can have IELTS or equivalent. For postgraduate, most of the universities, they just accept IELTS. So if you are thinking of doing postgrad, it's better to focus on IELTS. That's the main and most of the time the only language requirement or language qualification that universities accept here in the UK, and think about 6.5. When you go and some students going to university website and coming back with the question that I don't have something which is known as ATAS or ATAS or ATAS, okay? It's Academic Technology Approval Scheme. For some courses, especially if you're doing engineering technical courses, when you go to university webpage, it says you need to have an ATAS qualification or exam paper or whatever. It's not for you, okay? That's for international students. Refugee students and students from asylum seeking background, they are not international, okay? So you don't need, if ATAS is part of the university requirement, you don't need to have it. That's for international students, and you are not international. You are, if you are a refugee, you are home student, and if you are waiting for your asylum claim, you are not international, okay? You don't need it. Sometimes even if university says you do, you need to communicate with them or asking someone else to communicate on your behalf, just saying that, look, I'm not international, I'm refugee. Any question about general entry requirements? Is it clear? So you need to have an undergrad from any country, but it needs to be at least 2.2, like above 60%. And you need to have language 6.5 IELTS. Some work experience can help. These are the 3 main options that you need to have, 3 main criteria that you need to have if you are planning to apply. Any question? Is it clear about the entry requirement?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay.
But Amir, how
Yes.
about if you finish like bachelor degree in the UK here,
Okay.
and then you finish your degree, and then you straight away want to do like a MSc, which language requirement you need to apply
So,
for?
if you have it,
Still you need IELTS, or you
no,
need?
if you have your undergraduate or degree from UK, you don't need any language requirement. Okay.
Okay.
So, and even if you have, when you have your master's degree from UK and you want to start a PhD, again, you don't need language requirement because you studied in a language, in an English language university here in the UK.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's once in your lifetime that you need language qualification here in the UK. If you do your bachelor, then you don't need to have language qualification to do a master. And if you do this for your master, then you don't need it for your PhD.
Okay, that's thank you.
Great. Hala.
I need to ask you about the percentage because I need to do undergraduate in architecture, but
Okay.
I don't have a level. I need to use my degree from Syria. So what percentage they require for undergraduate for architecture?
So for undergraduate, there is no percentage because you don't have that qualification. Okay. For postgraduate, because you already have an undergraduate degree, there is
Okay.
a kind of threshold. There is a criteria that you need to have an average, an above average qualification.
Yeah.
So if you're not a good student, there is no point of doing a postgrad. But when it comes to undergrad here in the UK,
Yeah.
for students, it's mainly about their GCSE. Okay, so they have high GCSEs or low GCSEs. So that's the main thing. They have A, B, C, and D. So most universities would say, like University of like Liverpool, I know, they want like 4 GCSEs, 3 A and 1 B. Okay.
Okay.
Some
Yeah.
universities, as you go down the rank, some universities may say we need 2B, 2C, or 1A, 2B, 1C. So it depends on university. The higher the rank, the higher the GCSE. The lower the rank, the lower the GCSE requirements. So that's for that. However, for you, because you have your your university, your high school diploma or whatever from a different country, and again, if you are going to use other qualifications such as functional skills, BTECs, access courses to go to university, it depends on university. So universities, they have their own judgment of your qualifications. Okay.
Okay.
But generally speaking, something that you need to have in mind, there is a university ranking here in the UK. It's a very kind of rough way of understanding which university you can go to. So if you just Google university ranks in the UK, most of the time when you go higher, it's more difficult. When you go lower, it's less difficult, and the requirements is easier. Yeah, so that's a way of understanding for yourself. Okay, these are my qualification. So which one is the best? If you're a very good student with very good records, go for higher. If you think that you're not as good, go for like average universities. And to be honest, especially if you are doing, it's always good to go to top rank universities, okay? But to be honest, especially for your first degree, for undergrad, don't be worried about university rank that much.
Yeah.
But do your best to finish your study with a good with a high qualification. So with the first or with a distinction, as long as you have a good degree from any university, it will help you. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other question? Okay, so let's go through the application process. So now you know that you want to study postgrad, MSc. You know the entry requirements, so you have the entry requirements. Now is the time to apply. Okay, as I mentioned, the application process is not central. There are some universities, few universities, that you can apply to through UCAS. Okay, that's there if you want. But for most of the universities here in the UK, they accept the students directly, and it's better to apply directly because you have more options to apply to. So you need, first of all, to find out which university and which course you want to apply to. You need to specifically decide, I would like to apply to University of Bristol for MSc in business and management, for instance, okay? And then you need to write an application and apply specifically for that specific course in that specific university. Most of the time, you need to fill out an online application form. Okay, so it's your personal information about your degrees, work experience, and everything that the like general information that they need to have about you, country of origin, immigration status, and so on and so forth. You need to have a personal statement for almost for every university. When you apply, you need to have a personal statement. Personal statement for MSc is different with personal statement for BSc, for undergraduate. I'm going to show you how it's different. You need a reference. So most of the time for undergrad, you need to have a reference. You need just to have their contact detail. For postgrad, sometimes they ask you their contact details. Sometimes you need to upload a reference letter. So it depends on university. Just check with the university requirement. But always you need a reference someone who can comment on your suitability. It could be an academic reference, one of your teachers. It could be a work-related reference. It could be your previous manager in your workplace. Okay. And for undergrad, when you apply, you don't need to show your qualification. You don't need to show your transcripts. You don't need to show or upload your qualification or degrees. However, for postgrad, you need to have them. Okay, you need to already have your certificate, your bachelor certificate. You need to have your transcripts, your grades, your marks. You need to have them in English. If they are not in English, you need to translate them, and you need to upload them as part of the application process. So that's again the difference between undergrad application and postgrad application. And finally, the application deadline. Universities, they have, unlike undergrad, which is like its central application deadline, for postgrad universities, they have their own deadlines. Some of them, they close earlier than others, but most of the time, it's usually 6 weeks before the start of the course. So if the course starts in September, so it's like 2 months before. Okay, just usually think about 2 months before the actual start, which is most of the time the beginning of the September. So you need to apply in July, June or July. So if you are thinking of going to university this year for postgrad, you still have plenty, oh, not plenty, but a couple of months to apply to. Okay, so you can apply until end of July, end of June, beginning of July, depending on university. So that's the application process. Okay, it's usually, if you have your statement ready, it doesn't take that long. It's usually probably less than half an hour, the whole application process. And most of the time, for most universities, it's free of charge. However, there are some few universities that they charge you for postgraduate application. Okay, but most, like 90-something% of universities, it's free of charge. Any question about the application process? Okay, before we take a break, go on, Elmi. Do you have a question?
No, just I'm saying thank you so much. That's fine.
No problem. So these are the main steps in your application. Before we take a break, I'm going to take you through the personal statement. So as I mentioned, postgraduate personal statement is different than undergraduate in terms of the content that you need to write. If you click on that link, when I send you the slides, if you go to that link, there is a very kind of in-detail guidance on how to write a postgraduate statement. There are very good examples of postgraduate statements in that link, depending on the subject. So postgraduate statements for if you want to become a lawyer, postgraduate statement if you are applying for courses in science, postgraduate statement if you are applying for courses in engineering, because these for postgraduate, for MSc, for MA, you need to write specifically about that sector, those jobs, those subjects and modules that you are going to pass. So make sure that you go through the link, and before you start writing your personal statement, make sure that you read a couple of 2, 3, 4 or more good examples of personal statements to understand the structure and what you need to write. So basically, for most universities, you need to write a 500 words, one side of a A4 statement. So it's just one page, 500 words a statement. Some universities, they may have different requirement, but this is for most of the universities. Okay, so here you need to write. My suggestion is you divide your page into 5 paragraphs. Okay, in your first paragraph, you need to write about why you are applying to that particular program, why you want to apply biomedicine, MSc. Okay, what is the reason? You need to specifically mention that you have background, you have undergraduate degree in that, you have some work experience, and you're planning for future career in biomedicine. Okay, you need to be able to explicitly and clearly explain why you are interested in that program. Why you deserve a place above other candidates. As I mentioned, for postgraduate, there is a competition. Universities can accept a certain number of people, home student, international. So they try to choose, if they have more students than places, they try to choose who is the best student. And you need to explain why you are a better student than other applicants. So again, work experience could help. If you can say, I have 4 years of experience in Eritrea, working in lab in biomedicine, that can help. Previous degrees, relevant degrees can help. Any other courses, out of university courses that or qualifications that you have about that course can help, and showing your future plans as well can help. Even having voluntary roles or voluntary experience in those in relevant sectoral jobs can help. So if you're applying for nursing, if you were a care worker, like working as a volunteer, that can help. That can show that you are a more determined applicant than others. The third paragraph could be, so I suggest to write about your preparation, how, especially if you are coming from refugee background, asylum seeking background, there has been a gap in your employment, there has been a gap in your education. So you need to talk about what you've been doing to prepare yourself. And that could be going to IELTS courses, going to OLIVE courses, going to college, studying for yourself, watching videos on YouTube, doing online courses. So just explain that you are an active person and trying to meet those requirements. Evidence of your skill set. If you have any kind of qualification, you can say, I have a qualification in coding, programming, Microsoft qualification, any other training. There are loads of online trainings on Google that you can do, and you can add it to your skill set. And finally, the last part, I suggest to write about your goals. And this needs to be specific to that course and to your future career. So if you are applying for a course in biomedicine, so you need to explain about your future goals when you have that degree. Don't write about, oh, my goal is to be a good person and helping others, or my goal is to become successful and buy a house, okay? It needs to be specific to that course. Having a degree in biomedicine, my goal is to do this, find this job, do this, continue more education, whatever. Write a specific to that course. And finally, it's a postgraduate application. So when you're writing undergraduate applications, universities, they understand that you want to do undergraduate. So your writing style is not that important. But for postgraduate, you are applying for a level 7, which is like a very top level qualification in the UK or in the world. So you need to write, your writing style is important, and you need to write in an academic way. Okay, you need to show that you are qualified. It's not just about what you write, it's about how you write it. So it needs to be logical, and it needs to be methodical and structured. And that's why I suggest you have this structure of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Write good paragraphs, you use like academic professional language, and make sure that you ask for feedback from other people who are more experienced than you. So these are the main points in writing a postgraduate personal statement. Again, when you get the slides, click on this link here and make sure that you read at least 2, 3, 4 good personal statement examples to understand the structure and understand what do I mean about a logical order and a structure. Okay, so that's for that. Let's have 10 minutes break. It's about 11 o'clock. So please come back 10 past 11. Okay. And I'll be here. If you have any question, just feel free to switch on your microphone and ask your questions. See you back in 10 past 11. Okay, so until now, we talked about why you should study MSc, the question that you need to answer before applying for MSc, then the basic requirements, which is having undergraduate from any country, language qualifications, usually IELTS 6.5. Also, I mentioned that having some work experience could be helpful. Then you need to find which university and which course you would like to apply. You go directly to that university web page and you start the application process. You fill the application form, upload your personal statement. You need a reference, academic or employment reference, and you need to have your transcripts and certificates as well. You need to upload them. Application deadline, usually 2 months before the beginning, which is beginning of September. Another thing is if you don't have your language qualification at this point, it's okay, okay? You can apply and then you can provide your language IELTS later. You can say, okay, these are my qualifications, my application. The university will give you, if they see you are a good student, they give you conditional offer, then you will have time to do your IELTS and send your IELTS exam paper later. So if you don't have IELTS at the moment, that's okay. You can apply and they give you time. However, if you have IELTS, it increases your chance. So these are the main points about writing a statement for a postgraduate course. So it's different. It's very job specific, specific to university, specific to that course. And just very briefly, if you have an MSc from your country and you plan to do PhD, or if you plan to do PhD in the future, there are some general points about how to do a PhD. I'm not going through them because I don't think there is anyone here now that would like to do a PhD, but basically these are the main steps that you need to do if you plan to do a PhD. If you'd like to know more about the entry requirements for a PhD course in the UK, just click on this, find the PhD webpage link. You can find more about what kind of PhDs are available, what are the entry requirements, the immigration requirements, the finance requirements. One good thing about doing a PhD, especially in the UK, it's very difficult to have a scholarship for undergrad or MSc, but there are many good scholarships for PhD studies. So if you're interested, then let me know. We can have a chat about it, or just go through Find a PhD and find out more about your options in doing a PhD. Okay, so now you applied for undergrad, you apply for postgrad, and you have an offer from a university. That offer could be conditional, could be unconditional. Conditional means most of the time you need to send them your language exam results, IELTS or whatever it is. Unconditional means you can go and start studying in that university from the beginning of the academic year. So for most of you, especially if you are still waiting for asylum claim to be processed, the only option that you have to apply to go to university and pay the fees is applying for Sanctuary Scholarship. In the previous session, we've talked about Sanctuary Scholarships, and you know where to find a list of universities. There is again a link later. There is a list of universities. There are about, I'm not sure, 70, 80 universities giving a scholarship to students from refugee or asylum seeking background. So you need to find a university which gives a scholarship to someone like you with your immigration background and for a course like what you are applying for. So some universities just giving a scholarship to undergrad, some just to postgrad, some to both. Okay, so you need to find the university that gives you a scholarship which suits your immigration status, the area that you live, and the degree and course you are applying for, and then you need to go through the application process for Sanctuary Scholarship. The application process, you need to do it directly through the university website. If you go again, I'll show you later in the on my browser. If you go to the university webpage about Sanctuary Scholarship, there is a link about apply here. You click on that. Again, there are some boxes that you need to fill, your information, country of origin, everything about you, your personal information. And then the main part is to write a personal statement. Again, okay? So as you can see, personal statement is quite an important piece of every application here in the UK. So you need to write a personal statement for Sanctuary Scholarship. And that's different. The content of the Sanctuary Scholarship statement is different with the content for MSc and the content for undergraduate applications. And in the past, I had some students and they used the same application that they sent to UCAS for Sanctuary Scholarship, and it got rejected because what they want to know is totally different with what UCAS wants to know. So what you need to write on your Sanctuary Scholarship, the university that you are applying for a scholarship to, they give you instruction. So first of all, check with the instruction on the university webpage and application form. But for most universities, they need 3 or 4 main paragraphs on your statement. Sometimes they ask you the questions and you need to fill the box instead of writing and uploading in a statement. So the first question and the first thing that they would like to know is about your personal and family circumstances and the barriers you face in continuing your education. Okay, so if you remember, in MSc or undergrad, we start with, oh, I like computer science because I'm a good person working with computer, or I have background in computer. That doesn't matter for Sanctuary Scholarship. Sanctuary Scholarship is about giving you money to study because you have some problems, you have some difficulties, and you need to explain it in the beginning of your statement. So you need to talk about your family situation or your personal situation. You have to leave your country because of whatever problem. You don't have a job. If you are asylum seeker, you are living in a hotel. You have just limited cash support. I'm not sure, £30, £40, £5 a day or a week from home office. You don't have right to work, or if you're a refugee, you don't have enough income. So you need to explain the barriers, the financial barriers that you have, which shows that you need a scholarship. Okay, so you're here, you are not competing for university offer, you're competing for money. And instead of saying that you are a good engineer, you need to explain why you need money. You need to talk about the financial circumstances of you and your family, and why you don't have money to pay for your university course. Okay, the second part is about your ambition. Okay, you have problem, we are going to give you money, but how this money is going to help you. Okay, so here you usually need to explain, okay, I have this ambition of going to university, having this degree, finding a job, so that I can have an independent life, so that I can support my family, so that I can start a new life here in the UK. And this money helps me to do that. Okay, so this is the second part, how this scholarship is going to help you. So don't just talk about your ambitions, but you need to explicitly write how this money is going to help you achieving your goals and plans. So everything, as you see, is about money and how money is going to help you. The next part, you need to talk about your current financial circumstances. Okay, how much money do you have? How do you support yourself? where do you live, how, if you have family, how you support your family, if home office gives you place, if home office pays for your subsistence, if they pay you cash allowance, if you're in a hotel, if you are living in a council building or whatever. So you need to talk about your financial situation and how you manage to maintain your situation. Okay, who helps you? Is it government? Is it family? Is it friends? Do you have any income, any job, or whatever? And then the final part is about, okay, if we give you the scholarship, is there anything else that you need? Probably if they give you a scholarship, can you pay for your transport? Can you pay for your accommodation? Can you pay for your books and laptops and internet and everything? If not, do you need help with that or not? Okay, so these are the 4 main parts that you need to write in your statement for Sanctuary Scholarship. And you see how different it is from university statement. If you send your university statement for Sanctuary Scholarship, it doesn't say anything about your financial situation. It's just about, okay, I'm a passionate person, I want to do an engineering course because I want to become a computer engineer. Okay, here there is nothing about the course. For a scholarship, everything is about you as a person with immigration problems, immigration issues, no right to work, not having enough income, not having family support, who wants to go to university, and the only way that you can do it is through a scholarship. And you are a good candidate for a scholarship because of your plans and your future and the past experiences that you have, and how money is going to help you, how you pay for your expenses currently, and finally, any additional support that you need. Okay, and be clear if you need support with accommodation, if you need support with transport, if you need support with any other expenses, because some universities, they give that extra support as well. So if you go to the University of Sanctuary scholarship list, most universities, beside giving you the tuition fee, they give you support with accommodation and some other kind of support. Any question about personal statement for a scholarship and how it's different? Is it clear how it's different and what you need to write?
Yeah, it's so clear. But Amir,
Yes.
that is a scholarship application after you get offer, yeah?
Yes, you need to have offer, and then when you have offer, you apply for a scholarship.
Okay.
Yes. So
Thank you.
offer is through UCAS for undergrad, through university for postgrad, but as part of the application process for Sanctuary Scholarship, they ask you if you have an offer or not. If you say no, they don't accept your application. You should say, yes, I have an offer from University of Bristol to study September 2023 undergraduate course in biomedicine. So you need to see, and then they'll go and check with the university. Any other question? Okay. There is an important event coming up in less than 2 weeks' time. Okay. University of Sanctuary scholarship team, the STAR, Student Action for Refugee students, they have an event on Thursday, 2nd of March, 5 to 6:30 in the evening on Zoom. Okay, and during that event, it's specifically if you are planning to apply for a scholarship this year, and it's very good even if you want to apply next year. So when you get the slides, the link is there. You need to register, okay? And then they send you the Zoom link. Make sure that you go to that event, because during the event, these are the points that they are going to cover. They give you an overview of the student finance in the UK and Sanctuary Scholarship, how to apply for university scholarships, key tips, and there are some university staff, employee members coming to the event and explaining about what is important from their point of view for universities to see. Most of the things that they are going to say, I already said here, okay? The most important part is the very last part, okay? During that event, they are going to give you link for 2 other sessions, and they will are going to give you personal mentors to help you with your application process for a scholarship. So if you are planning to apply this year for a scholarship, the last part, which I highlighted in yellow, is the most important part that I suggest you go to this meeting, to this workshop, because you will have the chance of having a personal mentor who is going to help you with the application process. Okay, so make sure if you have time and if you are planning to apply this year or even next year, you go to that online workshop by STAR. Any question? Okay, the final part because today is our final session for higher education, for university. We covered level 2, level 3, undergraduate, postgraduate, up to the PhD. So we covered the whole higher education system in the UK. From next week, we start talking about other options like vocational trainings, technical trainings, and so on and so forth that you have, which are very good options. And for some of you, you may find out it's better to do technical courses instead of going to university because it takes less time and you can start working and making money and taking care of your life sooner than spending 3-4 years time in university. But because this is our last session on education or on university, it's not on education, it's on university, I'm going to share with you a list of web pages and a list of organizations across the UK who can help you with your educational needs. It could be about language learning, it could be about application process, it could be about a scholarship, it could be about CV writing, whatever, in different areas. So they are mainly organizations supporting students from refugee or asylum seeking backgrounds with their education and employment. So starting from the beginning, the first one is a new web page, Displaced Students Opportunities UK. So it's just started, but they are adding more content to the website. So the idea is every opportunity for students from refugee, asylum seeking, migrant background in the UK goes on this website. So if I show you at the moment, this is the web page. Can you see the web page?
Yeah, I'm see.
Okay, so this is the web page, and they add that they have different areas. So if you are applicant, if you are undergraduate, if you are postgraduate, but the best part is here, opportunities. Okay, so every opportunity comes up. Hopefully, most of the opportunities comes up for students from refugee background. It goes here on this website. So as you can see, recent opportunities, University of Leicester, they have an online OET test. If you are from nursing, pharmacy, midwifery, medicine background, they have an online OET training, language training for healthcare professionals. Also in Leicester, they have pre-seasonal, pre-sessional English program. Okay, again, fee waiver, which is free of charge. In Winchester, they have Sanctuary Award, and if you click here, you can see more opportunities. So make sure that you have this web page saved somewhere and you continue checking for the most recent opportunities for students from your background. The next one is STAR. Again, during the previous session, I mentioned the STAR. STAR is a charity, a student action for refugees, and they are the coordinator for Sanctuary scholarships. So every Sanctuary scholarship in the UK, you can find it on their website. Again, I'm taking you, this is their webpage. And if you go to their equal access, you can find a list of scholarships, an up-to-date list of scholarships and how to apply for the scholarships and application guide. They have loads of good videos on their website explaining in detail the application process for UCAS, for postgrad, for undergrad, for Sanctuary Scholarship. And here, if you go on scholarships, you can see an updated list of universities with scholarships, and there is a link. If you, for any of these that you decide to apply, there is a link which takes you to the application page, okay? And then you can start your application process. The next one is RefuAid. RefuAid is an organization mainly helping students with the language requirement to start university course. So when you have an offer from university, conditional, usually conditional, and probably you want to apply for IELTS, but you don't know where to apply, you don't have money to apply, or you need some training before applying for IELTS, RefuAid is a place to go. Usually they are busy, they are too busy, they have a long waiting list, but make sure that you join their waiting list as soon as you can, probably today, okay? Just go to their website and register your name for the language courses. REUK, probably you already know the REUK. They are part of the Olive now, and they have a very good web page with plenty of information about education opportunities for people from refugee background here in the UK. We have breaking barriers. When it comes to employment in the next few weeks, I'll be talking more about breaking barriers, but they are mainly supporting students, refugee people who are looking for professional jobs, okay? So they have offices in Manchester, in Birmingham, in London. So I'll be talking more about breaking barriers later during the employment sessions. If you are in London, Renoise, ELOT, and Groundwork could be good places to go if you need language learning support and if you need employability support, some kind of trainings, volunteering, finding jobs. Turn is specifically about self-employment for refugees. Our last session, our final session, would be about self-employment. In that session, I'll be talking more about how Turn could be helpful if you are planning to do to run your own business now or in the future. Hope for the Young is another organization and usually supports, it's about young, I'm not sure if, I think it's up to 24 probably, but they have a very good mentorship program and grant and financial support for young refugees or young asylum seekers who are planning to continue their education. You can go to their website, find out more about their program. If you are interested in any of them, again, you can speak with me or speak with your personal tutor as well. If you are in Bristol, Birmingham, or Wolverhampton, ACH, they have some programs to support refugees with employment. In future sessions, when I talk employment, I talk more about the service of ACH. And then if you are in London, ESOL, looking for ESOL courses, English for Action could be a place that they can connect you with language courses in London. Okay, so make sure that you keep this list somewhere for yourself, share it with your friends, because at some point you will find some of these useful, okay? Some of these could be very helpful. To be honest, as you can see in the, I highlighted this, it's important. Most of the students like you that I worked with, the main thing that helped them to go to university or to find a good job, it was because of their connections with the support organization. So make sure that you are connected with the support organization where you live or linked to what you want to do. Okay, so if you live in London, make sure that you are connected with some local organization, or if you are thinking of doing employment later, so support with employment, make sure that you are connected with employability support like breaking barriers or a ACH, depending on where you live. Any question about organizations? I'm going to add to this list for future sessions, but probably you can start in your spare time. Just start going through their web pages, learning more about their service, and see if this is something that you are interested and could be helpful. Just see how you can connect with them. Any question? Again, last time I suggested everyone joining 4 mailing lists or 3 mailing lists and 1 website. If you haven't done so, or if you didn't come to the previous sessions, make sure to have latest information on opportunities in your email. Make sure that you are joining STAR, REUK, and University of Sanctuary mailing list. Okay, then you don't need to look for information. Information will come to your email, and then you wouldn't miss any opportunity that could be useful and helpful for you. So if you haven't joined the mailing list, just click on these links and join the mailing list. It's easy, takes just a couple of seconds to do so. And this is the end of our week 4. So we covered educational pathways in the UK, starting with academic, undergrad, postgrad, up to PhD. And from next week, we will be talking about non-academic, non-university pathways, about vocational trainings and career pathways. And these are important. And as I mentioned, I suggested everyone to have a plan B. And these are very good to have plan B. However, many students, they found them good as plan A. And many students, they decided, because now the only thing that you know is going to university. When you know that there are other options as good as going to university, many of you or some of you are going to change your mind and saying that, oh, for me, and based on the job that I want to have in future, I prefer to go to a vocational pathway, doing other courses than spending time and money on university. So if you're interested, make sure that you are coming to the next sessions about vocational pathways, career pathways, and then from week 7, I'll be talking about how to find a job and what are the requirements to find a job in the UK and the application process for finding a professional jobs, not every job, but more professional jobs here in the UK, and how you can start your career here in the UK. If you have a question, just switch on your microphone and ask question, any kind of question. It could be about today's session or about anything else. If not, go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.